With so many electric cars on the market, I wanted to make a video that would make it easier to work out which are the best cars according to several of the magazines and forums. I've sort of narrowed it down to 6 of the best electric cars you can buy. This is by no means the cheapest, but it is some of the most intelligent, technological and interesting. And if you are really into electric, as it is the future, stay in tune in this video because we're going to go through it with myself, Cars with Ben. Just want to say a massive thanks to all my 500 subscribers. We are growing and thank you for being part of the car journey. To kick off, we have the Hyundai Kona E. Now here you can see the standard version and the variation of what I'm about to show you. And it's actually the entry level of all cars. It's the cheapest car I put on this list. And it's probably the car that most of you watching will want to consider because it's more accessible to most people. Now, obviously, there's a long wait for these cars. And like most cars, an electric of this age, it is pretty difficult. Now, we're not talking about the Hyundai Kona Koniq, which is a bit different, so I wanted to talk about the more entry level. It's well equipped, it has great interior, it's actually really comfortable, and it's got a 64 kilowatt battery, which is not bad for its entry level compared to its components and competitors at its same more price point, which, you know, to be fair, is really good for Hyundai. They're actually making quite a change. Now, if you want one, it is going to cost you £30,000, which is a fair amount for an entry. Up next, we have the Kia E Nero, another really sensible choice for entry into the electric market. And this car is actually doing quite well. It's actually a car that Kia is really up and coming. They've been changing so many of their vehicles, and even in the new Sportage, it's looking great. Now, this has been out for a couple of years now, but it's been developed fairly over the last few years, and this has a range of 282 miles, which is probably the most important bit you need to know. And this is kind of similar to the Kona. You know, it's not as ugly as the Soul, which we saw a few years ago, which is up to £40,000, by the way. The Kia E Nero is well equipped, and it will actually do really well in the real world. And it's actually fairly impressive in performance, according to most of the reviews. Top Gear really rated this car, and that's one of the great things that you've got to appreciate. Unfortunately, there's a long waiting list, and prices for these are over £30,000, some at £35,000. Up next is the Polestar II, which you might not have heard of because it's sort of the odd one out in the group. It's a car that probably less people are going to buy. Now, Polestar is like a special division of Volvo where they make a bit more performance or E-versions or concept-looking cars, and I would say that it is a pretty special car. I've only seen a handful of them compared to a lot of the other cars. Now, what's really different about this is it is really special in that it has an amazing build quality, almost as good as a lot of people have claimed that Audis have. And the Polestar goes from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds and only weirdly has a top speed of 127. But the 300 kilowatt battery is pretty good. That will go for 273 to 335 claimed miles. So it could be more, it could be a bit less. We don't know. There's no specific numbers, and it's only been around for a little bit. However, I do think it looks fantastic, and it will stand out compared to the other electric cars. However, this is the most inaccessible for most people because it starts at around £50,000. Up next is my favourite electric car on this list, and it is the Honda E. Now, the Honda E is really cool. It's actually been out for about a year and a bit now, and it's just so different from every electric car we've actually seen. Now, you've probably not seen them because I don't think they've sold as well as they'd hoped in the UK. Now, there is a reason for this. It is the smallest car on this list, and it is an electric car. Now, I think the interior of this is absolutely fantastic. It's got the side mirrors inside, and it just looks dinky. It's the only Japanese car, like I said, on this list, and it just looks amazing. They've done a really good job with the styling. It's got the front headlights and the back headlights look even similar. Now, because this is Honda's first mass-produced electric car, it is quite expensive at some over 30k, and it's a shame because we won't see as many on the road, and I really want to see more of these cars. They could even be modifiable, so that'll be really great to see. But for a small car, it's way too expensive at the moment. For number 5, we have the Porsche Taycan. Now, this is probably arguably one of my favourite electric cars of the last several years, and it's probably because it just looked so unique when it first came out, you know, with those huge white wheels and just the crazy body kit, as you can see here, and the really cool headlights. Now, this is, of course, the most unattainable for most people, and it is a luxury car, still obviously being from Porsche, but these are still really cool. I think they look so futuristic for the most part. And of course, before this, they had the Panamera E Hybrid, which was sort of its successor beforehand. But the bodywork of this is fantastic. All car magazines are giving this a great review. But they do not come cheap with a 390 to 560 kilowatt engine. Some of these are over £100,000. I knew it. I knew it. This car was bound to be on here, and I didn't really want to cover it if I'm honest with you, but it's still a great car. It is, of course, the Tesla Model 3, and Top Gear, of course, along with all the magazines, have praised this car for being their favourite electric car. And the UK love it. It's well known for being the entry-level market into Tesla, and it's understandable why people have a brand affinity with it. Now, what's different with Tesla is they were an electric company only, whereas the other brands in this video were making petrol and diesel. Now, it is a good car. It'll do a range and horsepower of 225 to 360 with a range of over 300 miles, which isn't bad for its age, given it's been a few years now. And it's got great tech. It does look good as well. It has a huge iPad, which for me is a bit too much. I would personally modify it, but there you go. It is a great daily all round. Now, what I do particularly think is interesting about these is that I think they're only going to get bigger in terms of their company. Prices for these are £40,000 for used, which is only similar to a Hyundai Kona. I think it's only fair that we talk about honourable mentions, as I have mentioned there are a lot of cars to choose from. So here are some potentials. The Audi e-tron GT, which is a competitor to Porsche Taycan. The Mustang Mach-E, which I think is different from Ford, and is kind of like growing on me now. We've got the Volkswagen ID3 and 4, which are two different models from Volkswagen, which are kind of cool. And we have the Mini E, which is the British version of our e-cars, and I think it's great. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.